These tacos have me in a chokehold. Let's make them. So this is the meat that I got. It is about a pound of chuck steak, thinly sliced and boneless. So here I'm just cutting it into really small pieces. I have on gloves just because touching raw meat gives me the ick, but you do not need to wear gloves to do this. I just do it because I don't like touching the raw meat. But it is up to you. I like to cut the pieces really small. This cut of beef does have some fat to it. I trim off the excess pieces, but you certainly don't have to. I do leave a little bit of it because it adds good flavor in my opinion. But yeah. This is also just for me because no one else eats beef in my house. So this is gonna last a while. It's gonna be more than enough for me to have dinner, and I'll have leftovers too. So that's good for about a pound of beef. I prefer to cut it this way with the kitchen scissors because it's just a little bit easier, and I don't always want to bring out the cutting board. It works just as well. It does take a little bit of time though. Then I'm gonna clean it with some vinegar, all white vinegar and water. Once I rinse that off, I am patting the meat down. I'm patting it down. I want it to dry up a little bit, and then I'll get started with the seasonings. Clearly, I think the drier the better. Right, here we go. We've got the McCormick Montreal steak seasoning, and this stuff is good. I really like it. Sometimes I'll get the spicy one too. So I just add that, and since it has salt, I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of beef bouillon, but not too much because the McCormick seasoning already has salt in it. There we go. And I put it on the little cover just to make sure I don't over pour, because that does happen to me often. And then next, I'm adding a little bit of the ranchero. And my sister loves this stuff. Jenny, tell everyone what you do with it. It's so good. Then I'm going to put a little bit of sofrito. This sofrito that I'm using, I think it's pretty basic. It's oregano, cilantro, garlic. What else? Maybe green pepper. It probably has celery as well. So I'm just going to do a little bit of that. And of course, I'm going to add some fresh garlic. I'm doing 2 cloves just because I had to peel these myself. Usually I get the ones that are already peeled, but they were out. So there we go. Oh, and I cut off before I can record myself adding some of the mojo. If you don't have mojo, then you can also use half a lime. Just something acidic. And here I am wrapping it up. Look at that. That's a close-up. It looks so good. I'm going to wrap it up and put it in the fridge to marinate. The longer you marinate, the better. I seasoned this around 3, and then I think I started cooking around 6:30ish. So it got about 3 hours of being in the fridge and marinating. But you can even do 30 minutes to an hour if you're in a rush. Here I'm adding some avocado oil to a pan. It's going to get nice and hot. And then as soon as I see it kind of start to smoke up a bit, I add a little bit of sugar to the pan so that it can start to brown a little bit. And once it looks like this, carefully start to throw the meat in. I use the lid to kind of stop any backsplash of oil. It still gets obviously all over the place, but at least it won't get in your eye. I'm trying not to crowd the pan, but here I started to think I probably should have used a bigger pan. But that's okay. And we're going to let it cook in its own juices for a little bit. While that's happening, we're going to get started on the salsa, which I thought I was recording the whole time, but I chopped my tomato in this little gadget, and I I set aside a little bit of onion and tomato to one side that I'm going to add to the meat later on. And then I have the salsa to the right side. I am using the gadget to chop some jalapeno. It was a big piece of jalapeno. For the 2 tomatoes, yeah, it was a pretty big piece, but it still came out really good. The more you pull the string, the finer it gets. If you want a rough chop, you don't have to keep pulling it like that. I just wanted to have it very thinly sliced. My sisters both work in Chipotle. Two of my sisters both work in Chipotle, and they are so good at dicing veggies. I am not. I'm just like not a good. I could do a rough chop at best, but I really like this thing because it gets it really nice and tiny. It gets the veggies nice and tiny. So here I am adding the jalapenos to the salsa. And the next thing that I'm going to be adding is cilantro, I believe. As you can see, I don't let anything go to waste, or at least I try not to. And here comes the cilantro. And yes, I will be using the chopper again because I'm lazy and I don't want to use a chopping board. I love this stuff though. It's so good. It did a really good job in chopping the cilantro. So here we go again. I love this little thing. Such a good investment. And I think it was like $10 too. I'm going to find the link for it. And finally, it's time to check on the meat. I threw in a little bit of cilantro that was stuck to my hand. I just flick it in there. And here we go. It looks like it's drying up. But it still has a little bit of its own juices, so we're going to give it a little bit more time. And now we add a little bit of the juice that was left over. You don't want that to go to waste. So good. Mix it up. And now we want to take that same little gadget, pour some water in it. I added the onion and cilantro to the meat, fresh onion and cilantro. And I took whatever was left of the cilantro that was stuck to the thing. That's why I rinsed it, so I can add a little bit more water. And now I'm turning the heat down just a little bit so that I can cover the meat and let it cook thoroughly. In the meantime, I'm going to just wash my dishes, whatever has been accumulating. They say you should be cleaning as you cook, so by the end of your cooking, you don't have too much of a mess going on, which is a good idea. And I think this dish is good for that because you do have to let the meat cook well. It takes a little bit more time to cook, but on some of the quicker meals, yeah, I don't always have time, to be honest. But here I am finishing up the little bit of dishes that was left, and it's time to check on the meat. So you can see the steam is coming out through the sides. That's a good sign. Mixing it around. At this point, there is not much left to the cooking process, so that's good. And here we have it. I'm turning it off because I like mine to have just a little bit of juice left. And here I am adding lime juice to the salsa. I love lime or lemon, whatever. I love citrus. And now we're going to be adding a little bit of olive oil, but then I realized I am all out of olive oil, which sucks, but that's okay because avocado oil will do the trick as well. So instead, that's done. Put it away, Kelsey. Now I'm going to do a little bit of olive oil. Yum. And this is very simple. I'm just going to do a little bit of salt. And I'm supposed to do a little bit of pepper, but I opened it on the wrong side. That blew mine. But here we go. Yep, I opened it on the big side. This happens to me too often. It's okay though. I pinched it off of the top. I pinched most of it off of the top and I mixed it up. I'm doing just a shot of apple cider vinegar. I measured it in the tapita because I did not want to F up any more than I already had. So there's that. And that should be it. Here's a close-up of me mixing it up. So good. I love that it's chopped into little pieces. And it came out pretty spicy because of the jalapeno. It was so good. There we go. Yum. And there I was just heating up the tortilla, which is that one you see in the back. And I'm wondering why avocado oil is 120 calories per tablespoon, but the spray is 0 calories. Someone explain that to me. So here I am heating up the tortillas, which are so yummy. They're only like 120 calories for 3 tortillas, so that's not bad at all. And here I am serving the little taquitos. By this point, my mouth was watering so bad. This is looking so good. And there's the salsa. We're gonna add that on top. Now I'm adding some salsita verde on top. I did not make this salsa. I just bought it from the grocery store and I'll show you which brand I like. This is the one, Hernandez. I was using the salsa verde, but sometimes I like to do the red one too. And here I'm adding tapatio, which was almost running out and I can't let that happen. So you see the re-up in the back. This looks so good. I'm literally saying my mouth was watering. Looks so good. Yum. I hope you guys try this recipe. It has me in a chokehold. I'm making this at least once a week. And the good thing is there's plenty of leftovers. Yum.